Well, they said there was a 5% chance of precipitation today. I can tell you it is not 5%, it is 100%. I am regretting wearing just summer clothes today, and I'm getting soaked on the way into Bristol on a commute. So it's been a while since I got back from Paris, and there's a lot to talk about with that. I'm going to make some videos talking about the event and some videos talking about what I learned during the process of doing the event and more. But for now, this week, I will mostly be talking about what I'm doing now really from here on in. Since I got back, I've been training well. Lots of commuting into Bristol as is right now, in this wonderful weather for the reset marking at uni. But I've also been keenly getting on with the strength and conditioning stuff that I said I was going to be doing from here on in, to try and get my body shape changed and try and get it where I kind of want it to look and feel. And I think those two things are combined, and in a way, that's sort of what I wanted to talk about in this video, because I had quite a lot of messages, both in the comments and also sort of directly from people saying, you know what, this whole thing about body perception, body shape and everything, I feel the same, etc. On in. Really bloody busy today. So yeah, I wanted just to talk a little bit about, you know, the current sort of climate about talking about people's body shapes and body shaming and stuff, and how, as usual in the world, the extremes are the issue, both in terms of body extremes, but also in terms of dialogue extremes, you know. The sort of sensible option is somewhere in the middle, and that's what I wanted to talk about a bit more in this video. If we're talking about or appreciating the beauty of something, we're referring to the word aesthetic, which I'm sure you've all heard before. And the words that we associate with aesthetic are things like beauty, attractiveness, desirability, stunning, flawless, perfection, and things like that. Now, obviously there are a multitude of reasons why people find things aesthetically pleasing, but in my opinion, I have a tendency to appreciate something that I started to call functional aesthetics. Now, I looked this up and it turns out that it is a term. People talk about bodybuilding versus functional fitness, i.e. people that are building a body just to purely build more muscle versus somebody that is building muscle to be able to perform a functional output for sport, for example. So for me, a beautiful aesthetic will also have a functional aspect to it, and it would be different for different people, different cultures, different things you're into. For example, somebody that's into cars might describe this car as stunning, or someone like me might describe this bass drum pedal as flawless, or somebody that knows about weaving and spinning might describe this spinning wheel as perfection. And what's deemed as aesthetically pleasing changes with society and culture and trends, and I would hope in relation to sport it also changes with science and results. In the 1980s, I would have described Stephen Roche's time trial position as beautiful, flawless, stunning and sublime, whereas a bike like this to me would have been ugly, loathsome, horrible and offensive. And yet 30 plus years on, those words I would have applied to Stephen Roche's time trial position, I would now apply to this. Now, as you can see from these pictures, there's an awful lot more relationship between the bottom two pictures than the top one. The bottom left-hand corner was the one that I would have described as horrible, whereas Wiggins' position I now consider to be sublime. Broadly and very briefly speaking, humans have always had an interest in body shape from a culturally functional perspective. For example, strong Spartan fighters or lithe martial artists and larger body types have always indicated wealth and having servants to do something for you for years. So up until quite recently, humans' interest in aesthetic body shape has always had some kind of a cultural, functional basis, until now. And of course, this subject is huge and wildly controversial, and I'd urge you to watch this video here, which informed me greatly on our changing opinions of body shape and body fat. However, my interest purely lies in some sort of athletic, aesthetic, functional output. As I said previously, my desire would be to be more like the triathlete body shape of a stronger upper body than a professional cyclist, but also with that same body shape as a time trialist or a roller. I would like to be able to do what they do, therefore I find their body shape functionally, aesthetically pleasing. I would like to do what they do, therefore I would like to look like they do. So what is the flip side of a functional aesthetic? Well, in my digging around on the internet, I discovered, and I'm sure you're aware of, bodybuilding, And that kind of approach where the whole idea of lifting a big weight is so that you can lift bigger weights. Well, that's the opposite side. It is purely building muscle to look good. Now, obviously in this day and age, this has shifted somewhat, and I think some people's perspective of aesthetic has skewed even further than this idea of just looking good for the sake of looking good. We have fitness influencers whose drive aesthetically isn't to look good for the sake of looking good, or even to be able to function aesthetically. It's to drive more followers, more subscribers, more monetization on their platform. And to my mind, it's all a little bit skewed. I don't know about you, but it strikes me as being just a little bit too Zoolander.
Did you ever think that maybe there's more to life than being really, really, really ridiculously good looking?
So that's my take on it. Functional aesthetic. I would like to look like I'm able to do the things that I want to be able to do. I look at those athletes and I look at the way that they look, and I look at their body shape, I look at the way their bodies are, they're lean and they're muscular, but not in a sizable way, and I look at what they should be able to do, and that's my driver. So I'm not doing this aesthetically from a perspective of being able to say, okay, then I can post Instagram pictures and say, here I am looking like X, Y, or Z, follow me. It is purely so I can run, swim, and ride my bike faster. That is my pure take on this. But I've never come at it from an aesthetic perspective, because I've always been slightly worried about touching on this on my videos because it is such a controversial subject. From my own perspective, it's purely functional. And I would like to thank everybody that did drop me a message or leave a comment in the video last time I spoke about this, because it did make me realise it's something that a lot of people do think about. So with that in mind, if you do have any thoughts on this, I'd really appreciate if you left me a comment below. If you're new to the channel, give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications bell, because this is going to be an ongoing journey. I'm going to talk a little bit about the training that I have been doing in a different video, because I think this one deserves a video all of its own. See you on the next one.